I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, August the 12th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA is one of those antibiotics that's a go-to to help just about anything you come across with cattle, whether it be pink eye or hoof rot or infections. It's just something that you need on the place, in your pickup or in your saddlebag. Go to norbrook.com for more information. Crop reports come out here on Thursday, and you got your August crop production report. You've also got your WASDE supply and demand report, and they can be kind of bearish and still be okay because your trade estimates have already been dialed back due to the drought and everything. Your trade is estimating that your average yield is going to be about 177.6 bushels per acre. The last estimate we had from USDA was 179.5, and so they can dial that back quite a bit. Now the spots where it's the driest, like in North Dakota, eastern Montana, where they do farming there, and up in the northern plains, that's some of the areas where they've added acres, but likely the drought is going to pull that back. It's just a little bit hard to estimate there. But your whole western corn belt is pretty dry for the most part, and they're expecting it to dial back. But you go to the eastern corn belt, it's exactly the opposite. There's a lot of people in Illinois and places like that that are expecting the best crop that they've ever had. How that's going to balance out, how USDA is going to estimate that is everything, and so that's going to be everything's going to tie to that. And if the corn cranks back up the limit, you know what that's going to do to cattle. But this report, your August report, is the first one where it's going to have farmer surveys, so that helps a little bit in that you get some real ideas out there from people on the ground that are looking at it. We won't get any yield tests until we get to the next report in September, but still, this is a market moving report historically, and all your ag commodities, your cattle and everything are going to hinge on what comes out here. But it's a whole different complexion than what we were looking at just a few months ago, because we had seen China coming in and buying so much of our product when it was cheap, and that's what caused it to initially go up. But since it has gotten higher, and then it kept going higher because of the drought, well, now in the last few months we've seen China really back off from purchasing there, and it's been a change of politics and everything, change of your dollar, and it's just really made things pretty confusing. So we don't really know what's going to happen on this report, but we will know more about it on our next visit, so we'll have to check that out. But pay attention to those crop reports coming out here on Thursday. Let's look at your board on cattle. August live cattle futures down 70 cents at 122.95. October down 55 at 127.57. And I hate to see those futures on your cattle, live cattle, going down when we know that the packers are short bought and they're really out there scrambling trying to buy cattle and not wanting to give any more for it, while the cost of their product is going up in gangbusters, and just every day $3 to $5 gains, and it did that again on Wednesday. But your back months on live cattle futures down 22 to up 22, so not a huge mover on Wednesday. August feeder cattle down 55 cents at 158.77. September down 22 at 162.82. Your back months on your feeder cattle down 55 to down $1.12. And corn, ahead of this report, it's found some more support, and it's just been kind of hanging right in there around that $5.50 a bushel. It was up 6 cents on Wednesday at 5.59 1/4. Fat cattle trade, we saw some more trade on Wednesday, and we see how these packers are really resistant giving any more money. But you hear stories out in the country, and what you're hearing is that they're out there scrambling trying to get cattle, and not necessarily cattle out front. They're trying to get some cattle for right now. So we're kind of in a good spot here, and our numbers of finished cattle are dwindling every day, but just cannot seem to gain a whole lot of ground. Iowa had confirmed sales of 2,400 head on Wednesday, just 3,700 head for the week. So likely they're waiting, hoping that the corn or the crop report comes out to be bullish, and your corn goes up and your cattle goes down. So they've been waiting on that to come out before they buy the bulk of their sales. But those 2,400 head confirmed in Iowa had live sales of 125 to 126, and that's the top end of the range that we've been seeing here of late. On dress sales, they had a string of heifers bring $198, but then the steers bring 203 to 204. Nebraska, 2,700 head on Wednesday, just 3,900 head for the week. Live sales in Nebraska just 123, is basically what they brought last week, and 198 dressed. Kansas sold some cattle on Wednesday, 8,400 head. That's the first they've sold this week, and they had live sales of 121. Texas, about 5,000 head. That's all they've had so far, with a range from 119 to 122. They had the online auction, but the bulk of the direct sales at 121. I had a Feeder Flash gang member send me some quotes out of a market that we haven't talked about before, the fat cattle auction in Lanesboro, Minnesota. About 1,200 head there. The colored cattle, they call them up there, but your beef type cattle sell from 130 to 133.75. Some of those would be all natural, but not all of them. But the Holsteins, bringing basically what your big packers, your major packers are wanting to give direct for your best cattle. Holsteins at Lanesboro there at the auction with competitive bidding bring from 117.75 up to 123.5, but they'd be big and they'd be fed right. Box beef cutout values higher again, like I mentioned earlier. Choice cuts 310.80, that was up 548 for the day, and select cuts 287.99, up 338. Your slaughter is falling off a little bit of last week, but kind of hanging in there. But it may not be as big as what we had estimated, because I did hear that we had not a shutdown, but a kind of a slowdown in a major packer in the Southern Plains on Wednesday. So it probably won't be as big as the estimates I'm giving you, but 350,000 expected to be harvested through Wednesday. That's 9,000 less than last week, 2,000 more than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the afternoon on Wednesday here at 155.21. That was up just 10 cents, but had a good sale at OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,600 head. But still, you know, I mean, we're kind of coming down off the top side on these summer grass yearlings, and the outfits that really push on them are starting to get full of them. They've delivered a jillion of them out of the Flint Hills. They've had a jillion of these big feeder cattle specials with grass yearlings in them, and they can only choke so many of them. Starting to come off a little, but still some big time prices. Feeders in OKC West and El Reno steady to $2 lower. Had a light test of calves on Tuesday, selling pretty much steady. Dodge City, Kansas winter livestock, they pretty much shot their wad last week on their yearlings, so they had about 1,000 head on Wednesday. This week it was mostly calves, and haven't had a good comparison on that for a while. But give you some quotes out of some sales that did have some pretty good runs, and they look pretty impressive. How about Emporia livestock sales there in Emporia, Kansas? That's Vic and Brody Peak there. They had a nice sale there, including this load of 60 head, 928-pound yearling feeder steers coming off the Flint Hills there at 153.25, and we're kind of cleaning the last of those Flint Hill yearlings up. Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota. They sell the fat cattle. They also sell feeders. But look at these 6-weight strings that they had come in there that kind of opened my eyes. 6 to 650-pound strings of steers right in there, and that's what guys really want. You can put the weight on them, and they got the condition to go. 179.50 to 184.50 weighing in the sixes, guys. Bassett, Nebraska, Bassett Livestock had another special, and we always end up talking about them, but you look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central, you see your best tested weights. They had calves and yearlings in there. 425 head of the 6-weight steers averaged 667 at 175.67 on your weighted average price. That's pretty smoky. How about 385 head of the 7-weight steers averaging 767 at 164.94, the average of all those 7-weight steers. Just 234 head of the 8-weight steers. Like I said, most of those have been sold. averaging 859 at 158.91. But 635 head of your 9-weight yearling feeder steers off of grass coming into Bassett, Nebraska. They average 953 pounds at 155.42 on your weighted average price. A couple of stick-out deals they had at Bassett included 167 head, 686 pound steers, bring 180.50, and an individual quote on some 8 weights was 64 head, 849 pound steers in Bassett, Nebraska, bring $170. Wow. They also had some replacement stock there at the special in Bassett on Wednesday, and the one stick-out deal on there was their Rock and Cross Ranch. There had a load of young Red Angus fall calving cows there, bring $1,700 per head. But that's normally our top quote from the day out of Bassett, but we did have one trump their sale on Wednesday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day come out of Sterling Livestock Commission in Sterling, Colorado. 204 head, 1,016 pound feeder steers, bring 157.25. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.